do it, then of course they'd be on board. But I'm still, like most of us, in a limbo of what liaison I am actually a liaison of. And so I'm waiting to see if I'm still on the LLC.
I think that we're supposed to talk about that Monday evening.
Yes, I believe so. They would like me to stay. They put me on their nominating committee for new leadership and stuff. So, and I've been telling them I don't know if I'm on it or not for the past 2 months. They're trying to, they had one meeting outside in the fall at the Courier Cafe in the tent. They're not totally Zoom people. Most of them would prefer not to, but they're gonna give up and go ahead and become Zoom people for the nominating meeting that they want to have next week, I believe. So, but I will bring this up when they have the first real meeting. I think it'd be interesting. Hi, Mary. Mary too, Mary King, board member Mary, as opposed to Mary Ward, person who makes it all work. Release my video. What is that? Interesting.
So how are you doing after your vaccine, Eric?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm not Facebooking that I got vaccinated because it's all very duplicitous. They want me to go to France to work on a detector. I don't want to go.
Crap. No, not that. No. Ah,
Oh, you know, Chris, they're under a 12-hour-a-day curfew right now. You can't even shop for your own food at the moment. It would mean 2 weeks of quarantine when I arrive and 2 more weeks when I come back for a 1-week repair. And I'll be, as they say, no, I'm not at the moment. They're not running. I don't know what the big crisis is. So, but that's how I wound up there. You guys have pull, you IDOT folks.
Yep. I mean, it's supposed to be because we're doing in-person research. It's trying to get back everybody able to actually do their jobs. So,
well, but I've been in this building where I'm sitting now because of internet issues at home since May 4th. We were the first group back in the entire College of Engineering, and I work with like 20 students every week. And we had to pull strings to get 2 of us inoculated to go over to France, potentially.
wow. Well, I can tell everybody I was sick as a dog yesterday. I had like the second vaccine reaction to the first one. So, and my arm still hurts. But I woke up this morning and felt like I had none of the aches, none of the fever, any of that. So I was like, well, obviously I'm having a good immune reaction. So
I had nothing.
We'll do this without any problem.
But I'm from New Jersey, so you can put pretty much anything into my body and it will just eat it. All right, so what are we waiting for? Stephanie was on the toolbox today.
Okay. Do you want me to leave that door open?
you did a really great job. It was interesting.
Yeah, I have it in the fume hood room, and I walked in and I went, I know who this is.
I love being on the 21st. I get to
There
be
you
on.
are.
Yeah, sorry. I love being on there. They have various people from my
Various people. And you were one of them.
Well, they have various people from my department on, and so I enjoy it quite a bit.
Okay, we are waiting for Jacob and Kyle. There's Jacob, there's Kyle. Looking good. John is here, our official presence. And we thank you, John, for braving the elements along with Susan and Mary Ward. And Will, our IT specialist tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we have everybody, and it is 6:30. So unless we're expecting others, I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:30 on the dot, according to Microsoft. Would Mary please call the roll? When you're ready, Mary.
Wondering if they aren't having a bit of an issue. John's picture looks frozen.
Yeah, and Mary's was frozen earlier.
Okay, I
There you
got it.
are.
I had. Yes, I had accidentally hit the little mute button, my headset.
I did that
Well-
once. It took me a few seconds to figure out what I'd done when I was in there at Brookins.
All right, when you're ready,
Okay,
Mary,
here
you
we
can
go.
go ahead and call the roll.
Furtado,
Here.
King,
Here.
Patterson,
Here.
Paul,
Here.
Dorr,
Present.
Esri,
Here.
Thorsland.
Here. All right, thank you very much. Item 3, approval of agenda and addendum. I'd entertain a motion for that.
So moved, Mary.
Mary moved. A second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Stephanie. We have a first and a second on that. Are there any changes anyone would like to make to that? If not, hearing none. If you could please call the roll call vote on the agenda.
Furtado,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Yes.
Storr,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes. All right, very good. We have 2 sets of minutes before us. Just to be clean about it, we will vote on them separately. So I'd like a motion to approve the minutes from January 7th, 2021.
So moved. Aaron Esri to approve the January 7th, 2021 minutes.
Thank you, Aaron. Second was,
This is Chris, and I can second Aaron's motion.
all right, thank you, Chris. Any omissions, changes, or modifications anyone see necessary to the minutes? If not, Mary, go ahead and call the roll.
Furtado,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Storr,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes. All right, that motion passes. We now have also before us, you got an envelope with your closed session minutes in it. We can entertain a motion to approve those. If someone would like to make the motion to approve closed session minutes of August 6th, 2020.
So moved. Esri to approve the closed session minutes of August 6th, 2020.
Motion by Aaron, a second.
I'll second.
Second by Stephanie. If there is any changes to these, I believe we would have to enter a closed session to do it. So I hope there's not. If no one has any changes, then Mary, go ahead and call the roll. Hearing none.
Okay,
Floor is yours.
Furtado,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Store,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes. All right, thank you. That motion passes unanimously. I would like to remind everyone that those minutes should now be destroyed, shredded, burned, any way that you care to dispose of them, but make sure that they're not let out into the public square. And speaking of the public, moving on to item 5, public participation. I see a very empty attendees. So I don't think we have any public participation tonight. Going once, twice. I will now close public participation, but I thank you. I know that we'll have more at some point. Item 6, communications. Does anyone have any communications for the board tonight? Board members? Okay. The ticking of the radiator in my shop office is the only comment that I have. So no communications tonight. Moving on to item 7, new business. This is for information only. I'm going to turn the floor over to Susan Monty, who has our second part of our 5-part series. Susan,
Hi.
the screen and the floor are yours.
Can you hear my voice?
Yes,
Okay.
we can.
Okay. Well, okay, continuing this evening with part 2 of the Solid Waste Management Information Series. And as I mentioned earlier last month, the purpose of this series is to provide a better understanding of what solid waste kind of management and planning has occurred at the county and the extent to which the county is presently involved in solid waste management. So I also mentioned that during 2021, I hope that work to complete the next 5-year update to the Champaign County Solid Waste Management Plan will take place, and that this update may include some suggested improvements to it. And so this review can assist in preparing for that update. And your input, any input you may want to provide either today or following this meeting before the update review process will be very valuable. So this is part 2, and we're going to delve into these topics here, including landfills. And I'll just note that I am not the expert here amongst us, but I'll do the best I can. Here we are. Last month, we touched on how in the early 1980s, there were hundreds of small dumps and municipal landfills throughout Illinois and few recycling opportunities. So one estimate is that approximately 90% of discarded materials were landfilled. Today, a more recent estimate is that as of 2017, approximately 52% of municipal solid waste in the US is disposed of in landfills. So that's an improved trend. So landfill capacity was a huge concern, and siting new landfills met with great resistance. And Illinois had no coordinated state level approach to managing solid waste, as the rest of the US did not either. And so this slide provides a broad historical account of landfills in the CU area, which you can read when you get a chance, starting at the beginning of the 20th century. So talks about the early town dump location at the intersection of University and Cunningham, and then right along the Boneyard Creek, and how the complex shifted to the 41-acre site where the Landscape Recycling Center is presently located, and operated there for 65 years before closing in 1988. And that the last landfill in the city of Champaign also closed in 1988. So there's about 8 landfills that are in post-closure monitoring status here within the Champaign and Urbana city limits. The biggest challenges encountered over the years has been controlling leaks, leachate. Leachate is liquid that passes through a landfill and has extracted, dissolved, and suspended matter from the landfill. And leaks can be very, very costly for municipalities to address. So I've shown this waste management hierarchy, that the one that the state of Illinois has adopted. And at the very bottom is landfill as the least desirable method of managing materials, solid waste materials. And then more commonly nowadays, this was last updated in 1995 or something, or maybe not even that recent. It's being looked at now for revision and to make it more timely. But this on the right is a more current kind of an example of management hierarchy. And you can see they break out landfill into regulated and unregulated. And so regulated would be traditional landfilling, or incineration, but includes landfilling. And then unregulated, of course, is just dumping, open dumping, and unprotected kind of landfills that aren't legal, and littering. So I mentioned the trend in landfills as decreasing over time. And I'll just mention that there are 3 standard types of landfills: municipal solid waste, which is commonly referred to as an operating landfill. There are industrial waste landfills, and that there are hazardous waste landfills. And this graphic is also one of Chris Store's graphics. From the Illinois State Geological Survey when he was there. And you can see that the number of landfills in Illinois are over 3,000, and that some of large percentage of those are located over shallow aquifers, and that 94 of those lie over karst areas. And I can define karst if anybody is wondering what a karst is. It's a kind of landscape underlain by limestone, which has been eroded, and which has soluble rocks such as limestone, dolomite, gypsum, and has underground drainage systems with sinkholes and caves. So it's very permeable kind of landscape. And then as of 2014, there were 44 operational landfills across Illinois. So I'm just going to talk a bit about Region 4 of IEPA. That's where Champaign County is located. And we have now, down from 7, we have 6 landfills. The McLean County landfill closed about a year and a half ago. And so now we have 6 landfills. These dots show the relative size of each landfill with a life expectancy of 28 years. So landfills, well, I'll talk about this. I mentioned in the US, landfilling is the most dominant method of disposal. It's also the least desirable. The number of landfills has been decreasing for decades. And that in Illinois, although the number of landfills has been decreasing over the years, the total capacity is increasing because existing landfills are expanding. Okay, so it's important that we pay attention to landfills because of things like the Muhammad Aquifer. Well, I'll just review the 3 main reasons why we should be concerned and care about landfills and monitoring of the landfills. Disposing waste in landfills is one of the waste management systems. It's the dominant one used. It's the least preferred, but it's most often used over other methods as in that waste management hierarchy that we saw. Champaign County is the landfill siting authority. In Champaign County, some of the municipalities have ordinances that provide them that authority. Careful monitoring of operational landfills and legacy landfills are over the Muhammad Aquifer is important. And everybody knows what a legacy landfill is. A landfill that ceased operation prior to January of 1982. And before then received all kinds of unregulated household, commercial, or industrial solid waste for disposal. So God knows what's in those legacy landfills. This graphic is the other graphic I used with permission of Chris Storr, and it shows the quantity of landfills, legacy landfills and operational landfills located over the Muhammad Aquifer sole source protection area. All right, so I just want to mention too that landfills are the third largest source of greenhouse gas emissions in the US, with about 1.7 of total greenhouse gas emissions that can be attributed to landfills. It's the third largest source. So that statistic alone is not very meaningful. I'm sorry, I should have gotten like the first and second and third, which would make it more interesting. Okay. And I just want to mention that waste generation rate has been provided in studies that were done, such as the Illinois Commodity Waste Generation and Characterization Study. And estimates are for that in our region, Region 4, each person generates 7.1 pounds of municipal solid waste per day. So that's what we're working with. And that's a very rough kind of measure. Does not include anything about what that person does with regard to composting or recycling. So as you might imagine, these are hard types of data to track. And that's part of what the state committee is looking at now, to how to make tracking versus estimating less problematic for counties. And so it's easiest to track municipal solid waste disposal rates, because those rates are reported by landfills to the state, EPA, and can be sort of double checked that way. It's most difficult to estimate recycling rates, because there can be so many ways and means for a person to recycle that it's very difficult to track. And I just wanted to remind you that the original target set by the state legislation for counties is that we have a recycling program that can recycle 25% of its municipal solid waste. So here in Champaign County, we have insufficient means of tracking recycling rates. And so I'm very happy to hear that the state committee is looking at easier data to track and guidance about that. And that state committee will have their recommendations complete by July of this year. So really, this is all I wanted to touch on today. Oh, I did mention that I was going to talk about the Champaign County Regional Pollution Control Facility Siting Procedures Ordinance. And the only thing I want to say about that is it may need to be updated. It should be looked at least every 5 or 10 years, and it may need to be updated. It's more important to counties that have franchises with all of their hauling and collection operations, and that's not the case here in Champaign County. So we don't have a great hold on where these kind of facilities are in the county. And that seems to be a market-driven kind of phenomenon. Also, the transfer stations, I've listed them in the memo, and there may be additional transfer stations that are proposed in the near future here in Champaign County. For example, maybe one in Rantoul and maybe one north of Urbana. So there could be additional transfer stations which would benefit local waste haulers and make their operations less costly. And finally, the waste hauler license fee was recently, that ordinance was recently reviewed and corrected to be more equitable and to generate some amount of income to the solid waste fund for the county. But there may be, I would be recommending another update to that ordinance to require some basic kind of reporting by local haulers, such as many other counties in Illinois do. So I'm going to stop there. I welcome any questions that you may have. You can contact me directly or at any time with questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Any questions for Susan? All right, none at this time. I believe the next one is also yours, Susan, 7B, if you want to go ahead and continue.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen if I can figure that out. Thank you.
There
Okay.
you go.
Okay, so this is the month where I've brought forward all of the agreements necessary for the 3 community collection events that are being scheduled for this year. And it's good to get these done by at least February, because all of the municipalities that are a part of these agreements and all of the parties need to review and approve these before the first event in April. So the first item is the resolution that authorizes the lease agreement, host site agreement for the upcoming April 10th IEPA sponsored one-day household hazardous waste collection. And so this event agreement is a form used by Brookfield Properties at Marketplace Shopping Center. And the plan is to have use of a large expansive parking lot north and east of J.C. Penney's as in October of 2019. So this is pretty straightforward. Any questions or anything? But it's here for a recommendation that the county board approve the resolution.
Okay. Any questions for Susan on that? I think the next item, we transfer over to Mr. Hall.
But Eric, are you going to, excuse me?
I didn't get my hand up quick enough.
Go ahead, Chris.
Susan, did you say that the household hazardous waste collection is going to be at Marketplace rather than Parkland? Or
Yes. Parkland will not serve as host site for the household hazardous waste collections. They are happy to serve as host site for the electronics waste collections, but not for the household hazardous waste collections.
okay, and second question, what role has the Champaign County environmental stewards had in this?
Well, that's a nonprofit that was formed in 2019 to have an awareness campaign about the need for improved options for collection of items such as household hazardous waste, such as e-waste. Right now, the systems we have in place here in the county are just not convenient, and they are probably not the most efficient use of our resources. So that nonprofit was formed to initiate efforts to improve conditions here in Champaign County. For example, one of the interests of that nonprofit is to explore having a regional household hazardous waste collection facility located here in Champaign County. And so as county board members, you will be seeing some correspondence from that nonprofit very soon, just as an information kind of outreach effort.
Thank you.
Right, any other?
I also wanted to mention that I forgot to mention that with this Brookfield Properties agreement, there is a cost that is shared by the 3 local, municipalities of Savoy, City of Champaign, and City of Urbana, along with Champaign County. So that's part of the cost share agreement that will be coming up. It's a lease kind of fee of $1,000.
Yeah, and again, we'll be voting on this in section 8 of tonight's agenda. That's our first item. This is the information only part. So any other questions?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine. We will.
You know what I was doing, Eric? I was talking about the resolution, the agreement, and I apologize. I should have been on item B, just the information about online registration. So forgive me.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and
That
go
just
over
simply
that,
says that the online, yeah, I'm so sorry.
that opens up on the 8th
Item
of
B.
March, it looks like.
Yes, pretty much that's the message.
Okay, yeah, and it's in the handout on page 11. And it's got the pre-registration website listed there. So,
Yep, thank you.
Very good.
Sorry about that.
oh no, that's fine. That's fine.
I was wondering why you weren't taking a vote. I was completely
Not yet.
discombobulated.
That's okay. I'm often in the same state.
Yeah.
So. All right, this is where I'm going to turn it over. 7C to John. I think John has the information on the emissions up at the former Conair site.
John, he skipped B.
Yep. So 7C is just an FYI for the committee, in case anyone finds this topic interesting enough. The IEPA is taking comment. So not
Are we frozen? And I apologize for talking to you out of place.
I've lost all my board members.
I'm here. If anyone can hear me.
We're all here,
This is Chris, I'm here.
and
Okay, yeah, mine's okay. I know John cut out at the end. I couldn't hear him.
It might behoove the people in Brookings to stop their video feeds. That seems to make things freeze up more often when the connection's not very good.
yeah. And there is some weirdness in the world. This is why I'm sitting at work and not at my house, because I couldn't even load the county webpage at home. So fortunately, I'm close enough to the lab to tap into the better internet. John, did you get your board members back?
No, but that's okay.
Well, I can assure you that we all hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. So if you want to continue, and hopefully you get us back visually as well, but we are all here. I can attest to that, as well as the rest of the members. I'll give John a moment.
Okay, 7C is FYI only. Do you want to discuss it? That's real.
No, John is really in a bad place in the internet right now. All right, well, do the board members have any questions? It's in your packet. You can read it. If you have any questions for John, again, this is information only. So I would say feel free to get a hold of John on the phone while he slowly circles the web trying to find a hotspot there in Brookings. John, can you hear us at all?
I'm going to try that.
Bill is working with him now to
Okay,
establish.
thank you, Will.
Bill is working with him now to establish.
That's internet or whatever.
All I can say is, have you tried turning it off and back on again?
There's not enough time left in my life.
Yeah, we're getting these unstable kind of messages.
Well,
wind's just screaming here in Urbana, so I'm not surprised.
yeah, it's amazing that we now live in a world where the wind can make the internet die. So go figure. Okay, I saw Aaron breathe. I was worried that Aaron had also froze up, but he looks good.
I'm just listening, waiting for what to get worked out on at Brookins.
Yep. I know you've been there and you know the torment. So this is my 4th Zoom meeting of today and maybe the most entertaining so far. So,
Wow.
hopefully Will gets things working. It would be hard to run the meeting without Mary and John and Susan for the next parts.
Also, just listening to the wind roaring outside. It's picked
Yep.
up here. You see others shaking their heads. It's obviously, you can hear it where you
Yes.
are too.
For us to resolve things at Brookins.
Yeah, I
Right.
think you have to go outside.
Can
and
committee move on to,
count your cattle.
Well, we can move on, but we will need to have Mary be able to record votes in part 8 of tonight's agenda. So Mary, can you hear us? And
I
more
can hear you
importantly-
just fine.
Okay, so you're.
Can
and
you hear
can-
me?
Yes, we can. And you can see us and everything is working. All right, well then,
Yes,
let's move
on
on.
mine.
Again, if you have questions about 7C, feel free to get a hold of John. It is for information only. It's basically the air permit for the old Con Air plant. So moving on to 8, new business. These are items to be recommended to the county board. I'd entertain a motion for 8A, a resolution authorizing Brookfield Properties and Champaign County event agreement for IEPA one-day household hazardous waste collection on April 10th, 2021. And I just need a motion since I read the motion. Anyone have a first?
So moved. Aaron Essery.
Moved by Aaron, a second by Stephanie. Was that a second?
Yep.
It looks like a second. Motion by Aaron, second by Stephanie. Susan, is there anything you want to continue to fill us in on about?
Oh,
8A?
I think I talked about it already. So.
Okay. All right. And again, Susan pointed out there are some fees involved, but this is the waste collection at Marketplace. So is there any comments from the board before we take a vote? Seeing none, Mary, would you call the roll?
Okay, Furtado,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Store,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes. All right, that motion passes unanimously. I now entertain a motion for 8B, resolution approving an agreement between the County of Champaign, Parkland College, and A-Team Recyclers with regard to the residential electronic collections on May 21st and 22nd, 2021, and October 15th and 16th, 2021.
So moved. Oh, excuse
Okay,
me.
Mary's got a motion. Chris has a second. Thank you very much. Susan, do you have anything you want to add to this item?
It's designed to be flexible based on demand to expand from 1 to 2 days as last October's residential electronics collection. There seemed to be a very high demand last October. And since we're still in the pandemic, there's lots of people cleaning and wanting to get rid of their e-waste, televisions and such. So we don't know exactly what to expect, but this is, and plus we cannot have community service workers at the rate that we in past years have had. So that's why these events are slightly, well, considerably more expensive and more flexible in their terms.
All right, very good. Any questions for Susan on B? Hearing none, Mary, would you go ahead and call the roll?
Furtado,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Store,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes. All right, that motion carries. Item C, resolution approving an intergovernmental cost-sharing agreement between the County of Champaign, the City of Champaign, the City of Urbana, and the Village of Savoy for the residential electronics collection events and IEPA-sponsored household hazardous waste collection event in 2021. Do I have a motion?
This is Chris. I'll
All right, I'll second this one. How about that?
Okay, Chris has the first and Mary has the second on item C. Susan, is there anything you want to add to this?
Just note that typically these residential electronics collection events would cost just for the contractor $13,000, but with the pandemic kind of provisions in place, it's $32,000. So it's not inexpensive.
Has there been some additional
That's
money?
pretty much.
Has there been some additional money that's been made available? Because we've had fought to get these things here in the past, and now, you know, we seem to have them more regularly.
We're spending down the Champaign County Solid Waste Fund. This is an intergovernmental cost share agreement, so the costs are shared. And I do invite contributions from all municipalities in the county that want to participate. So we seem to be holding steady with the solid waste fund amount, with the additional funds coming in from the increased local waste hauler license fees. They're still declining steadily, but yeah, this is okay.
All right, any other questions for Susan? Hearing none, Mary, would you call the roll?
Furtado,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Store,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes, that motion also passes unanimously. All right, item D, resolution approving Champaign County opt-in form to Illinois EPA to participate in manufacturer e-waste program in 2022. I'll take a motion.
I'll move.
Moved by Stephanie. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Kyle. Thank you, Kyle. Susan, is this just the next year for the same as item C, or is this a different subject?
This is a residential electronics collection program for 2022, yes.
Okay.
And I wanted to back up and inform you all that I misinformed you. The additional funding to the recycling contractor is $10,000 per event. So I think I mentioned 32, it was actually 23,000.
Okay. Right, any other
And
questions
also-
for Susan?
Also,
I'll
I'll just mention that I'm
also
also continuing to look for a program collection site
for
the residential electronics collection program.
Mary Ward, you might want to mute your microphone. I think you and Susan may be in the
Yeah.
same room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought I did.
No, that's fine. So we're still looking for a permanent site.
Correct.
Hey, is there any progress on that at all?
No, it's ongoing search. So I will again put out some inquiries and remind the municipalities and do all that kind of stuff. And this also the nonprofit this is part of what they are interested in also.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Mary, the floor is yours. Would you call the roll on this?
Furtado,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Storr,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes. All right, that motion carries.
Thank
I now
you.
entertain a motion for item E, resolution accepting a grant from the Illinois Housing Development Authority Strong Communities Program. John, are you back online? Well, first let's get a motion and then we'll talk about
So
it.
moved.
Motion by Mary, a second
Second.
by Mr.
Aaron.
Esri. Thank you, Aaron. John, are you with us?
I'm here at Brookins and I'm looking at a computer screen, but I don't know if I'm with you.
You are with us. We hear you, and I can assure you the board is all here. If you want to explain maybe what this Strong Communities program is. John?
I can tell you he's checking his volume
It's-
settings.
We heard you fine at first.
I just,
We can hear you, John, a little bit. So I think you might be fine.
okay, well, the county board approved an application for the Strong Communities 20 meeting. The application was for $69,500 for demolition of dangerous structures in rural urban Foosland and rural St. Joseph Township. We were approved $9,300 in the grant.
Yeah, you're sketchy, John.
I have a suggestion. Maybe, does John have a phone? Maybe he could call in.
Yeah, or maybe move to another spot. Mary and Susan seem to be working fine. Wherever John is at, though, seems like he's having trouble.
Can he use one of their computers just for this? If they're in the same building?
They're going to stay socially distanced.
Yeah, we would prefer that he maybe just try to slide closer to a doorway or something. I'm not sure. John, or if you hear us, it just seems like your physical location is just a little off from whatever Wi-Fi. And I'm gonna let people know on your behalf that this resolution's on page 45. And what John was
Let me
telling
just
us.
say,
Hey, Eric,
Yes.
John, sometimes you guys can't hear him and most of the time he can't hear you.
Oh,
So
okay. So he is in a bad spot wherever he is, because you're fine.
My suggestion.
We're gonna try moving him real quick to another computer here.
Okay.
Or if he even just clicked the link on his phone. I know sometimes if it's over a cell network, it might be more smooth because we don't need to see, video. I think that'd probably be the quickest solution.
Yeah, and maybe Will could organize that. If Will is
Okay,
with,
we're
is
doing
Will
a
with
little
John?
switching around here, so we should be able to get going here in just a minute. So
Okay.
Okay, I'm at a different computer.
so
All right, Susan, go ahead. John.
Very fun, very funny. Where'd my materials go? Oh,
All right, good. You sound great, John.
yeah, thank you. Okay, I don't know how much you heard previously. This was a grant that the county board approved applying for back in September. We essentially got what we applied for. It operates on a reimbursement basis. It'll be for a 2-year period beginning no later than June 2021.
Okay, and as I understand, this is only good for demolition work in our county at the moment because we don't have a building code for improvements.
That's right. This is a different program than the app grant, which we've participated in previously. This grant would actually allow rehabilitation of structures, but rehabilitation assumes that you have a building code that sets a standard, and Champaign County has never adopted a building code. So we have no standards for rehabilitation. So all we're doing is demolition.
Okay, so we're not leaving, well, sounds like we are leaving money on the table if we had a building code.
The land bank applied for a grant with a couple of Vermilion County municipalities and got close to $250,000 to spend on rehabilitation. Yeah.
Okay, so that's something that I think maybe the board should think about in the near term as one of the items that we might want to look at, because I know since my ZBA days, we have not had a building code to fall back on, just some basic, handouts for basic electric code and things. And there's money out there that we could use for purposes of good. Any questions for John on what we can do, which is the demolition work, and we know a couple properties? If not, Mary, would you call the roll? Oh, Chris, you have a question?
Sure. John, since we do have a connection going here, do we have like a list of properties that are in the queue for demolition? I asked because I know that there's been some problem ones that have been brought to the board's attention in the past over.
We do have a list. Hopefully this $69,300 that we've been approved will pay for everything on that list. I doubt that it will pay for any more than that.
And that would be the 2 properties you talked about earlier, right?
Yeah, we have the first project we've identified is in Urbana Township. There's another property in Foosland right across the street from where we cleaned up last summer. The third one here is a rural St. Joe Township property that was destroyed in a fire several years ago. And the insurance company and the owner have been in court trying to settle, come to terms on the settlement. And of course, the neighbors just want the property to be cleaned up. So that's the third property we threw in here. If it gets cleaned up, I know we can find other structures in the same census districts as the other properties.
Okay. Was that it, John?
That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. All right, if there's no further questions or discussion, seeing none, Mary, would you call the roll on item E, please?
Hurtado,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Store,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes. All right, thank you very much. Item 8F, resolution approving contract for sale of county property located at 504 South Dodson Drive, Urbana. A motion, please.
So moved. Aaron Essery.
Moved by Aaron. And a second?
Second.
This is,
Thank you, Jacob. Jacob got you there, Chris. Thank you, Jacob, for that. John, is there anything you want to talk about on this item?
Yeah. Yes. This was recommended earlier in August, but I got comments from the state's attorney's office that they wanted to change the type of sales contract. So we pulled it off of that August county board agenda. This new contract for sale is a quitclaim deed rather than a warranty deed. The state's attorney's office wanted to go to a quitclaim because it would save them a lot of time in preparing paperwork. I don't know if any board member has ever bought property using a quitclaim deed rather than a warranty deed, but I have let the prospective purchaser review a title search so that they're comfortable with the fact that there are no liens against the property and things like that. Those have all been cleaned up. And the prospective purchaser is still willing to move forward with the quitclaim deed. And because this was such a big change from what the board saw earlier, that's why I thought it best to run it back through committee just to make sure everybody knew what was going on. Are there any other questions?
Questions from the board. Details are in the packet. And in other places. No questions for John? Hearing none, Mary, would you call the roll on item F, please?
Hurtado,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Store,
yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes. All right, that also passes unanimously. Thank you very much, John, Susan, for putting up with the difficulties there. John, if you're still with us and want to talk about the monthly reports, item 9, is there anything you want to add, or are they there for our enjoyment?
They're there for your enjoyment. I don't really have anything. I'm not prepared to add anything.
All right.
That's really all I have.
All right, very good. Thank you, John, and thank you for getting those put together. There is no chair's report tonight, except to thank everyone for putting up with yet another Zoom meeting, and Will for doing extra effort to try to keep everybody online. So items to be placed on the consent agenda, everything 8A through F was unanimous. Do we want to keep anything off the consent for discussion, or do we just want to leave it all on consent? I don't see anyone who wants to take anything off. Keep in mind you can at the
Potentially, I don't know. I'm not too worried about the property sale, really.
That was the one I was thinking we might want to leave off.
I don't care if we do, I guess, but I'm not pushing for it to be left off.
Well, if we get any, Mary?
Can I ask real quick why?
Well, sometimes the board wants to hear some of the details, and
Yeah, just-
consent, it tends to disappear.
That's-
You know,
That would be why, yeah, basically just kind of let the rest of the board know we are looking to sell this property. It's less than what it's appraised at, but yet it does get it off the books, and just basically like you said, kind of the details, let the rest of the board know a little what's going on.
well, I agree with that. I think we should leave that one off. The rest of them, I think, are fine. So let's leave F off the consent agenda. Mary, make sure that makes the real agenda. And otherwise, the rest will go on consent. That's A, B, C, D, and E, with F on the regular agenda for the county board meeting, so we can keep them up to speed on that property sale. With that, I thank everyone, and everyone who's at Brookings. Enjoy the weather, and thank you for being there. John especially, because he's our official presence in Brookings, and I'm sorry that your hot spot was not so hot tonight. Is there anything anyone wants? If not, I call this meeting adjourned at 7:27. Thank you very much, everyone.
Good night.
Right.
Good night. Have a good evening. Stay warm.